Time for Sports with Dan Hangman Hooker. And Dan, I can't help but notice you're not at home. I see City Kickboxing. Obviously, you've made home for however long this lockdown lasts in Auckland. Can you just tell me a little bit about what's going on there? Who's nestled in with you, and is everyone getting on each other's nerves or anything?
Um, yeah, so we when the lockdown got announced for midnight on Tuesday, Huge put the call out that everyone that can lend a hand or is willing to be away from their family if they could come in and help myself and a couple of other guys that have fights coming up. Um, yeah, bubble up at the gym and live at the gym and stay at the gym and kind of make that commitment to the team. And lucky enough, there was a good group of guys that obliged and have given up their time with their families to come in here and train and help me prepare for my fight. So that's been good. It's been pretty crazy so far. I think it's only a weekend, so it's not really enough time for people to show their true colors.
And yeah, it must be nice to finally have that fight signed off. You've got a date, you've got an opponent. Now it's just a matter of getting over there.
Yeah, no, I am. That's one of the boxes ticked. That's another one of the boxes ticked. Because at the stage right now, we're pretty much halfway through training camp. So I have put a terrible amount of time and effort into preparing for a matchup and making sure that I've got no stone left unturned. So I feel confident. But now to have the name, now to have the contract, now to have everything locked in, yeah, it's like a new boost of energy for the training. So yeah, I never, when the lockdown got announced and that we were going into level 4, yeah, never crossed my mind for a second that this fight wasn't going to happen. It's kind of like I set that date, 10 weeks out from that fight. I went around and told everyone I could possibly tell that I was fighting on that card. I was fighting on that date. And the reason it's happening is because I made it happen. That's like the only reason why this fight has come together. Searched top to bottom in the rankings. No one ranking. No one with a ranking was free. Let's say free or not washing their hair or something like that. So I've got Nasrat, who's unranked, but he's definitely has the caliber of a ranked fighter. He's definitely has the skill set to compete with any of the guys in the division. So I'm excited to get out there and compete, man. That's what we're put here for, is to get out there and test ourselves and challenge ourselves. And this just adds to the story,
On Nasrat, obviously, like you say, he's got the caliber of a ranked fighter, and I'm sure he's probably been on the fringes of cracking the rankings a few times. I think when he fought Drew Dober, Drew got into the rankings off that fight, so it's a pretty good measuring stick for where Nasrat is. When you got that name, what was your initial reaction? Obviously, you knew ranked fighters weren't an option. Was Nasrat the next best thing?
How the fight actually came together is they didn't give me that name. I put it out on social media because I had heard from the UFC that they were struggling to get me anyone in the rankings or anything like that. So I put it out there. I said, this is the date. It's the whole world, man. Come on, it's the UFC. It's the whole world. There's got to be someone. So I put it out there, ranked, unranked, top 5, top 10, top 15, unranked. I couldn't care. I'm fighting on that date. Like, who wants to get after it? Nasrat saw that, commented on or messaged it and messaged me, and he just said, man, I'm keen. Let's get this going. Let's put this together. And besides him, think there was like one other guy in the UFC who's had one fight. I'm trying to remember his name because I actually want to give him
shout out Terrance McKinney.
I actually want to give him a shout out. I'm not even like credit to the kid. That's how you. I can tell you right now that kid's gonna make something of himself because he's willing to step up. He backs his skills and he's willing to take risks and take opportunities. So shout out to him. If Nasrat would have pulled out, I don't know what. I don't even think Sean Shelby would kind of let me do that one or go off one fight. But nah, credit to him. He'll make a name for himself for sure. But yeah. And then Sean Shelby calls me a couple of weeks ago and he just says, yeah, I've gone through like everyone in the rankings and there's no one ranked that's picking up the phone or answering the call to fight in September. So I said, what about Nasrat? He's messaged me and he said, oh, well, okay, I'll get in touch with his team and see if he's interested. Got in touch with his team and the fight came together like that. So yeah, the fight came together off a message on Instagram. That's how this fight came to fruition.
Yeah, it was a little while you'd kind of been throwing out, casting your line and not getting a whole lot of nibbles. Was it just a matter of, cast your line as many times as you need to and eventually someone's going to bite?
Oh, I had made a decision. I had made a decision that I was going to fight and I was going to fight on that date for a number of reasons. Like one of them being the voucher situation. I have a voucher for a week after that fight. So I have a voucher for October 4th. So I just stay in Vegas for a week after the fight and then come back. It would have been very dicey. Had I not got that fight, the likes of Kai, who's going over in December with no voucher. He doesn't have a voucher to return home. And you're reading stories about Kiwis getting stuck overseas for 4, 5, 6 months, trying to return home, burning through money on accommodation and living overseas for 6 months. Like that's not a risk I wanted to take. So I'm just thankful that this fight came together and it's all locked in now.
Had you not got an opponent, would you have maybe given your voucher to someone like Brad so he could go and corner Volk on that card, or would you have just put it back in the pool or just gone over yourself?
No, I definitely want to go over how to fight. Sitting in that hotel for 2 weeks is not the most fun I've ever had. Nah, so you can't just like transfer them like that. I think you gotta like put it back. You gotta throw it back in the pond, and then there's no way your mate's gonna be the one that pulls it out of the pond. It's like, man, because we've been like watching it and observing it and like had like a pretty close eye on the like voucher situation in the MIQ. Like it has to be people using not even the people that are like paying for like people to look for spots. Like that is not even, I don't even have a problem with that, but there has to be people, there's got to be a large group of people using apps or using using like applications to automatically take spots and throw information in, because these guys are unbeatable. Like you can't fight with these guys. So if anyone's got the information about those apps, like message it to me, please. I don't like if you can't beat them, you got to join them, right?
It's becoming a little bit like a competitive voucher securing.
Yeah, 100%.
Looking at the 266 card, you're back on the prelims, which is a little bit of a surprise. What do you make of how the bout orders lined up? Were you expecting to be on the pay-per-view part of the card?
Nah, I wasn't expecting it. Like I saw a couple of weeks ago when we spoke earlier, like that card is stacked. Like that card is like top to bottom, 2 title fights. I think Diaz, Curtis Blades fight. Is it Jessica Andrade is on there as well? So there's like a strawweight women's fight as well. So like that's a pretty well spread main card. So I wasn't expecting to get on the main card or anything like that, but I pushed for this fight. Like I pushed for this day. I pushed to grab anyone. I pushed for an unranked guy because it's the only fight that I could get. So I pushed for this fight. I put myself in this situation, knowing the risks, but to not take it because a fighter's like unranked, or to not take it because you're gonna be on like the prelims is like what does that hurt? What does me being on the prelims hurt? Does it hurt me physically? No. Does it hurt me financially? Definitely doesn't hurt me financially. So it hurts my ego. So imagine me turning down that fight. Turning this fight down hurts me physically. Turning this fight down hurts me financially. Turning this fight down hurts me in a real way. Accepting this fight and it being on the prelims hurts me in no way except my ego. But my ego is very... My ego is pretty much a liquid. a lot of people's ego is like glass, and they get it shattered and they can't put it back together. But as you've seen, I have my ass kicked many times, and I always bounce back. Not only bounce back, but bounce back and be and truly believe that you're the best fighter in the world. That is that is a thing that is something that has taken a lot of experience to kind of reach that kind of level of understanding, if you will.
I guess on the plus side for all the fans in New Zealand, they're not going to have to buy the pay-per-view to watch you fight.
It's free, brothers. What's the problem? No one from New Zealand's complaining about it.
On the matchup with Nasrat, another powerful striker. It's quite a fun matchup on paper to look at. I mean, I know you are looking preferably for a ranked fighter, but how do you look at the matchup with Nasrat? I mean, it's very, very fan friendly.
Oh, 100%. Like the guys, like a few of the guys that I tried to fight. I tried to fight Islam, tried to fight Gregor, tried to fight Arman. So there's like 3 of the guys I tried to fight wrestlers, like just purebred wrestlers. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that challenge as much as any other challenge. Like to me, fighting Islam would be the same level of excitement and challenge as like fighting a Tony Ferguson. Like for me, they're like the same thing. For the fans, that's a very different fight. Me versus Islam and me versus Tony Ferguson is a entertainment wise extremely different fights. So I feel like for the fans, this fight is better than any of those other 3 fights for the fans. And that's what I'm getting out there to do is to get out there and to put on a show. For the people that support me and back me, I think.
Had Nasrat not stepped up, were you pretty much resigned to not fighting again this year?
I'm pretty dumb. Like I would have gone over with no voucher. Like I would have eager. Maybe dumb's not the word. Dumb's not the word. I'm pretty tenacious about what I want to do, and I feel like fighters get better from fighting. Yes, you can improve in training, but fighters get better from going out there, competing and learning those lessons and growing from actual combat. I feel like that's where you get better. So that you have seen like a lot of fighters completely sit out the pandemic era. Like who's a couple like Yair, Sharapova, or like they ranked top 5, and they've completely sat out the pandemic era. Like they don't want to compete with the travel restrictions and quarantines and like all of the stuff that's going on. Me, I feel like I've persevered through the quarantine era. Yeah, the results over the last year have obviously not gone the way that I wanted them to go. But I feel like I feel better within myself. I've learned like a lot of lessons and grown a lot as a fighter just by going through those experiences and backing myself and persevering through the tougher times. I feel like you grow as a fighter. I feel like if you're like a young fighter and that you had a fight coming up on a show here in New Zealand or something like that, and it got announced lockdown, and you were like, oh, sweet. You went and bought yourself a box and a bag of chips and some KFC and sat at home and relaxed. Maybe the sport is like not for you. Maybe the sport is not for you as a profession. If you saw those lockdowns and have been running and training and pushing it together when you're by yourself, maybe this sport is for you as a profession, because I feel like it's a level of commitment that you need to show in a sport like this, for sure.
Just before I let you go, got some fan questions as always. I'm going to read them to you this time. First up from Tom Cashmail. Asked the guy how to pronounce his last name and I got his first name wrong. So Tom Cashmail, dream fight that isn't a title fight.
Dream fight that isn't a title fight. I think Gagey's like a good fight. That's a fight. It's a fight that needs to happen at some stage.
Yeah, I agree. That would be a lot of fun. From Kinsella Toby, what's next after Nasrat, and would you like it to be another main event? I do enjoy that challenge of a main event. Like that's definitely part of it. I would like to get another 5-rounder in, because I learned a lot from the 2 5-rounders that I've had. Yeah, we'll kind of wait and see. I have not looked past Nasrat. It's a fight I'm taking very seriously. Maybe when it draws a bit closer and there comes a bit more clarity in the lightweight division, you can kind of see where everyone sits. Because, yeah, old Sean Shelby tried to phone him top to bottom, and there wasn't a lot of guys getting off their asses. So I don't know how interested I am in fighting someone that's not like super hungry, you know. From Hyper Hanu, how was the vaccine shot you got the other week?
Man, I trained like 3 hours that morning. I don't know, my arm was like pretty sore, but the vaccine, like it itself, the shot is like super easy. They use like the smallest needle in the world. Like I didn't even notice the lady put the shot in. It was a bit sore, but obviously you shouldn't train for 3 or 4 hours the day you get it, and then 3 or 4 hours the day after you get it. That's like, they didn't recommend that at the time, so I'm saying that's not the best idea. But nah, I didn't have any like adverse reaction to it.
And from the same person, what are your thoughts on a Nate Diaz fight in the future, and maybe even how quickly would you like that fight?
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Nah, like if it happens, it happens. If it happens, it happens. But that's not like a fight at all. Yeah, I wouldn't cancel another fight to chase that fight. because it's kind of like chasing your tail, that fight, I think.
Sweet. Well, that's all the time I need to take off your hands. As always, thank you very much for your time. Always appreciate chatting with you, bro.
No trouble, brother.